Hello and thank you for stopping by the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube. I am Thomas Metal 75 and this is your Massachusetts Beer Review. And today we are looking at an Oktoberfest beer, seeing as the date today is September 25th, 2017. We are totally within the swing of things in Oktoberfest season, and now it is fall. This is from the Revolution Brewing Company out of Chicago, Illinois. This is their, simply put, named Oktoberfest. You have the Oompa band guy with the euphonium. That's kind of cool. There's the Revolution Brewing sort of Marxist look that they got going on, which is sort of an interesting look, I have to admit. Filled on the 4th of August, 2017, so not extremely old. Just a little bit of information on this beer. We got 5.7% alcohol by volume. We got 25 IBUs. They use Magnum and Hertzberger, or Berker, hops. And an Oktoberfest, which is also known as a Marzen, because of the time period in March when they started brewing these beers. Now, when this came out, when these kind of beers came out in the early mid 1800s, refrigeration obviously wasn't much of a thing, so they had to brew these in the cooler months because it's a lager beer and they ferment at cooler temperatures, so they take longer to brew. So by the time that Oktoberfest and the September and October months rolled around, these were ready to be consumed. And Oktoberfests are by nature supposed to be malty with a clean hop bitterness. Am I reading this correctly? Yes. They're supposed to be malty with a clean hop bitterness, and they're going to have a toastier kind of a malt quality. There's going to be bread and biscuity, malty aromas. Very similar, or another beer style that kind of gets confused with Oktoberfests are what's just simply known as a fest beer. And fest beers, according to the BJCP, which is the Beer Judging Certification Program guidelines, they're practically the same style of beer as what's known, a lager beer style known as a Dortmund export lager, which those kind of beers are more of a balance of a malty sweetness and the noble hop bitterness. You're going to get a lot of malts from the Helles lager in flavor mixed with more of a hop character of a Pilsner. So instead of being almost like a Vienna lager where it's more of that toasty, bready kind of a malt, darker beer, the Dortmund export, interchangeable practically, are going to be a lighter, more refreshing, balanced kind of a flavor. And before I start cracking open the beer, if you don't even know what Oktoberfest is, here's what it is in a nutshell. It is a 16 to 18 day long festival that starts from the mid to late September to about the first week of October. And it started in 1810 when the German King Ludwig I married the Princess Therese, and I can't even pronounce the rest of the name, it's a German name. And the festivals for the 16, 18 days were held to celebrate the occasion. So, I like a good Oktoberfest when it's done right. It is a good, sort of a gateway into a better style beer, and I think lager beer drinkers wouldn't get too offended by it. So I put it in my Fraunfelder, that's my last name, the old school spelling of Fraunfelder from Fraunfelder in Switzerland. I don't think this Fraunfelder beer brewery is around anymore, but there you go. And it's the dimpled mug, so it'll do the job well. Alright, so what you get out of Revolution Brewing is your typical dark or copper-colored look to the beer. Definitely reminds you of that Oktoberfest. Definitely reminds you of a almost a Vienna style lager, like a Samuel Adams Boston Lager, or even the ale for that matter. And it's got a khaki kind of colored head, and bubbles and streaming carbonation for days. Pop, fizzing. Let's get a nose on the Oktoberfest from Revolution Brewing. Did you see the Oompa Oompa? Yeah, definitely bready. Definitely brown bread crust. Definitely a brown sugar, not quite molasses. There's definitely a good noble hop spice zing to it. They use Magnum and Herzberger. So that's what I'm getting. Maybe a touch of a indiscernible kind of a fruitiness, not one fruit jumping out over the other. Maybe there's a slight citrusy note in there. A little bit of a grassy, earthy kind of a hop zing as well. So that just has a touch of the toasty, malty qualities to it. Again, if you've had something like a Sam Adams Boston Lager, you've almost had a similar smell to this. They're all Vienna lagers and Oktoberfest and Fest beers and Dortmund export lagers are all, even the Munich Helles lager to a certain extent, are all going to be similar notes. It's just about, really for me, it's just about that malty flavor that is going to make each beer uniquely different, and how the sweetness interacts with the overall beer's flavor. So, without further ado, let's drink the Revolution Brewing's Oktoberfest. Cheers, guys. So what I'm getting out of this one, I've had a few of the cans already, but what I'm, before I decided to finally get a review out of the way, but what I'm getting initially is a pretty big upfront, toasty, brown bready, malty, sweet component to it. There is, again, some of that citrus. It's indiscernible. Could even be a touch orangey. There is a good brown sugar kind of a note in there. Not too sugary sweet, but it's definitely there. There's definitely, what did I say? 25 IBUs. It's definitely got some hop presence to round out the sweetness. It's definitely, like I said in the nose, it's definitely more of the grass clippings. It's definitely more of the earthy green grass cut clippings kind of a sensation there. It definitely has that German noble hop kind of a zing about it. There's a little bit of the noble hop spice in there too. I would say it's a medium bodied beer, crisp, clean, relatively clean, semi-dry, and it's really refreshing, and it is carbonated. Another note that I wanted to bring up was honey. There's definitely a honey-like sweetness that pairs nicely with this toasty note to it. Very carbonated. Yeah, definitely a clover, honey kind of a sweetness. Again, crisp, semi-dry, easy going. Steinhoists for days on that one. So what would I rate the Oktoberfest? I seem to be doing more just straight letter ratings beyond my numeral ratings, but I would have to give that a straight up B. It definitely drinks like a heavier lager with more of a malty complexion about it than most lagers. More of a hoppy zing to it. and more of a sweetness than even like a Coors or a Budweiser kind of a beer. So I think it's a great style overall to enjoy, even if you're not really a craft beer guy. And I think if you are a craft beer guy, it might not be one of the most flavorful styles of beer you can find on the market, but it's great to learn the history. It's great to know where they come from. And I know a lot of people are in the craft beer community do like trying different beer styles and do like learning about different beer styles and reading about the style guidelines from the BJCP, the Beer Certification Judging Program guidelines. But don't let your experience of the beers get ruined by, is it really classically, done to a T. It's just fun learning about all the different styles and learning about how styles can be either different from one another or how they can be really similar to one another, or even like with a Vienna lager and a Munich Helles lager, Fest beer, or the Marzen beers, or even Dormont Export Ale or Dormont Export Lager, how those beer styles are similar to each other, but the region that they're from within Germany kind of dictate what they do to shape the beer and how the beer's flavor has been shaped to what you get in the glass. So for me, it's just a touch much on the sweetness for my liking. And for me, I would prefer a less bitter version of the Oktoberfest, which is why I say it's a B. It's definitely way above average for a beer overall. I don't know that I would rather have a Bud Miller Coors over this. Probably not, I would guess, but I would much rather drink those on a regular basis than this. I'd much rather drink Samuel Adams Oktoberfest over this. That one's almost an A beer this year. This one is just going to be a straight up B. So thanks for watching the Massachusetts Beer Reviews channel of YouTube. If you have any comments, questions, or any beers you think I should review, post them in the comments below. Find me on YouTube here, ThomasMel75, or find me on Facebook and type in Massachusetts Beer Reviews and you'll find our group. I love having beer discussions. Let's keep it going. Have a healthy conversation about beer, but keep it safe if you're going out and trying beers. So, till next time, keep tasting those great beers. Cheers. See you soon. Happy Oktoberfest. Prost!